Good day today to you from Montreal, Canada. This is Andrew Fazekas, the Night Sky Guy, your host for the Night Sky this week. Thanks so much for joining me, taking a few moments out of your day today to talk about the night sky and maybe circle a few dates on your calendar of things that you can see in your skies wherever you are around the world. And of course, this week, there's two big stories that we're going to be diving into. That is, of course, today is December 13th, and it is the peak date of the Geminid meteor shower, an annual sky event that always pleases folks. So we'll be talking about that. And of course, Comet Leonard, which is making a lot of buzz online. People really striving to catch their own views, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So let's dive in. First off, I have, of course, the chat comments open. I see folks from all over the world joining me. I see Jimmy from Arizona, Faye from Jamaica. My goodness, I've got folks from all over the world here. I've got Brian from the UK, Gopa from New Jersey. Hello to all of you. Sunya from Turkey, of course. Welcome. I love seeing you, that you're always here every week. And of course, I'm broadcasting live on Facebook, on Twitch, and YouTube as well. And if you like these videos, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss my next video. Well, let's dive into the planetarium program without further ado and see what is in store this week. So I've got the night sky here laid out right after sunset. This is for December 13th, Monday, and it's set for mid-northern latitude, so about halfway between the equator and the North Pole. That's where I'm located approximately. So this is a sky that folks, in Washington, New York, Tokyo, Rome, right across the northern hemisphere. This is pretty much exactly what you would see. If you're in the southern hemisphere, closer to the equator, it's slightly shifted, the orientation of it, but all the clusterings of these stars and planets and the moon are pretty much oriented towards each other, in relation to each other, the same way, but just shifted in how it's angled. But pretty much what's in store after sunset is, of course, this beautiful clustering of three worlds, Venus, Saturn, and Jupiter, lined up. If you haven't seen them yet, do go out. It's after sunset. about a half hour, 40 minutes after your local sunset, looking towards the southwest. This is a great show to be able to see these 3 planets in a line up. And it's really beautiful. And of course, joining them now is the moon as well. The moon was pairing up with each of these planets last week. It was a beautiful conjunction with different planets the moon was having. And now the moon has gone off way towards the east. And it's heading, of course, to going into a full moon phase later at the end of the week. Now, what's interesting, of course, tonight, if we go into later hours, it's when we have what's called the Geminid meteor shower. And if we turn our attention towards the northeastern sky, that is where the radiant of this meteor shower is rising above your local eastern, northeastern skies. So the Geminids, they come along every year, like clockwork, okay? So you can't miss them because they're very reliable. The night of December 13th into the morning hours of December 14th, every year. Expectations are usually anywhere from, depending on where you live, if you're stuck within city where there's a lot of light pollution, obviously you see less of the show than if you were out in the dark countryside. But anywhere from maybe 10, 20 shooting stars in urban conditions to upwards of 60 to 120 shooting stars in very dark sky conditions and optimum conditions. Now, this year, we are going to have to contend with a waxing gibbous moon, and you'll see it right here. I'll show it to you. Right there is the moon on the upper right corner there. And so this means that the moon is going to blot out, the glare of the moon will blot out a lot of the fainter meteors. So you'll be seeing still some shooting stars, but they'll be the brighter ones. And one of the observing techniques I can tell you is turn your back to the moon. So if your moon is, in one direction, literally turn your back and don't look at the moon while you're trying to catch these shooting stars, because it'll ruin your dark adaptation. Your eyes need to adapt to the darkness. It takes about 15 minutes to a half hour for that to happen. And then you get much better views of fainter shooting stars. Now, one of the questions, of course, is, why is it named the Geminids? The Geminids take their name from the namesake constellation, the constellation where the individual shooting stars appear to radiate out from. So, when you're talking about meteors, if you see them zipping across the sky, and by the way, when they do zip across the sky, that means you don't need binoculars. You don't need telescopes. They give you too small of a view of the sky, right? Too small of a view. You want to see the entire, because these shooting stars zip across it. So your eyes are the best equipment. You don't need anything else, just your eyes. And so as they zip across the sky, if you kind of trace the individual route where they seem to originate out from, that's what's interesting, because each of those shooting stars, they seem to originate from this one part of the sky that's occupied by this constellation we call Gemini. Right there. And you can see the Geminids appearing to be radiant in this animation. You can see them all kind of radiating out from one spot. And that one spot is occupied by the constellation Gemini, the twins, right? So they're very easy to spot. They rise in the northeastern sky, usually around midnight is local time. Of course, it depends on where you are. Some places it's much earlier, like mid-evening, it'll rise. For me here in Montreal, Canada, in the northeast. And as it gets higher in the northeastern sky, and you'll know it's Gemini by 2 bright stars that are next to each other. Those represent the heads of the mythological Gemini twins, Castor and Pollux. So those 2 stars are going to be visible in your skies, even in urban conditions if you're stuck within the city. And it's really easy to find them because they're very bright. Castor is a white colored star, while Pollux is a yellowish colored star. And that is the origin point of all the shooting stars from the Geminids meteor shower. So how many you can see? Again, it depends on the sky conditions that you have, but anywhere from maybe a dozen or more in suburban conditions to even possibly upwards of 60, I think, is possible from dark skies. But really, the moon will be the big challenge for us, because as you can see, if I zoom out, you can see that the moon will be really, that is the problem. So you want to kind of face away from the moon. So always keep your back to the moon. Try to find a spot where you have a great overhead view, large overhead view, no obstruction. So, get out of a forest or everything. If you have a nice big field that you could go to, get a lawn chair where you can lie down a little bit. Lots of blankets. It might be very cold where you are, like I am here. It's only a few degrees above zero in Montreal today. So it'd have to, close to zero. You really have to bundle up very, very well. And you try to be comfortable and patient to see these shooting stars. Patience is very important when doing a lot of different kind of sky watching stuff. And count those wishes, with all those shooting stars. And remember, what are shooting stars? This is where it's so amazing. These are little bits and pieces from a comet. Basically, as comets are giant dirty snowballs, they round the sun, and as they do, they shed a lot of material. And that material that's shed gets deposited in a train of material, or a stream of material behind the comet. And it's a cloud of mostly sand grain sized particles. And that's what Earth slams into, is this big giant cloud of material left behind by comets. And that little, sand grain sized particles hit the atmosphere of Earth at incredible speeds. We're talking upwards of 150,000 kilometers per hour. It's just incredible. And of course, within a fraction of a second, they burn up. All of that, the shooting stars that you see are happening, 40, 70 miles above our heads, very, very high up, and most of them. And they just burn out in a fraction of a second. And that's what we call a shooting star or a meteor. And you can see dozens of them during a shower, like the Geminids. So that's what you'll be looking for, is those beautiful streaks of light in the overnight period. So really be patient. If you get clouded out tonight, Monday night, December 13th, into the early morning hours of December 14th, Tuesday, try again Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. There'll still be plenty of shooting stars to see. So that's something that you should definitely look for in the skies. And we're gonna go back to our planetarium program. Here we go. So we've got the moon there, you can see, and the moon is in the Pisces constellation. If you were wondering what constellation the moon is in Pisces the fish. That's where the moon is located tonight, Monday night into Tuesday morning. You can see Jupiter's already setting in the southwest. This is set around 9 o'clock at night, local time. And you can see next to the radiant of the Geminids is the very fancy, well-known constellation of Orion the Hunter. You'll recognize that as 3 stars that mark the belt of Orion. This might be in a different orientation depending on where you are around the world, near the equator or in the southern hemisphere. It'll still be the Orion constellation, and you'll still see the belt of Orion. And you'll just see above the belt, or to the left of the belt, is where the Gemini twins are. That's the center. But you don't have to face the Gemini constellation to see the shooting stars. I want you to understand that. You can face in any direction. Just make sure you turn your back to the moon. That's really this year the big message. So let's turn our attention now to the comet. So Comet Leonard, I'm going to patch that into the program here. Let's see if I can do that. So its official name is C/2021A1. It was discovered early January by a gentleman named Greg Leonard, who is an astronomer with the Catalina Sky Survey outside of Tucson, Arizona, using a professional telescope to search for near-Earth asteroids. That's what he found this comet. So if we look at the comet, as it appears in our skies at sunset. We were talking about Comet Leonard last week in the early morning skies, but now it's switched into the sunset skies. Now it's a challenge because of the twilight, the evening twilight. It might be buried within the glow of the twilight. This is going to be the challenge. But hopefully, as the week progresses, the comet will be rising higher in the early evening skies, at the sunset skies, and it'll allow us to kind of pick it out from the glow of the sunset. And it'll be in the sky for a little bit longer each night. Now, will it still be bright? That's a big question. The comet could break up. We don't know. Could lessen in brightness. Could get brighter. We don't know. The only way is to look for it. Now, where do you look? You're looking towards the southwest skies where the sun sets for you. And you'll be looking for a good guidepost is the planet Venus right here. So, and you can see, of course, Saturn and Jupiter there. We were talking just about those before. You might have been looking at them already. You know where Venus is. Well, the comet will actually be going by Venus later this week. So it's a great time to search for the comet in the evening. If you weren't an early bird person, maybe an evening apparition is more up your alley. And if we change this view to later, this is Monday evening, I'd say about 30 minutes to 45 minutes after your local sunset. Here you can see this is Tuesday, Wednesday. Now it comes interesting is Thursday, right? Thursday the 16th. Here's December 17th. Look at that. Look where the comet is, right underneath Venus. So a perfect guidepost is this super bright planet Venus. You can't miss it. It's the brightest star-like object in the southwestern sky. It's going to be low in your horizon. Why? Because of course, Venus is the second planet from the sun. And so it never travels far away from our point of view here on Earth from the sun. So it's following the sun as the sun sets. So will Venus, Saturn, and Jupiter later in the evening. But Comet Leonard will be passing by this bright, super bright planet. And this will make it an easier ability for us to track Comet Leonard down. Is it going to be bright? I don't know. Right now, it's a super challenge to see it with the naked eye. You need very dark skies far away from city limits to actually see it, have a chance to find it with the naked eye. It's glowing around magnitude 5, which is very faint. From typical suburban conditions, like in a large city, I live in Montreal, over 2 million people in an outside suburb, and I can see down to about magnitude 4, 4.5. Just to give you an idea that I can see the handle of the Little Dipper, that kind of sky conditions, and I can't see Comet Leonard with the naked eye. I can find them with binoculars very easily, but I cannot see him with the naked eye. So just be aware. It's, you're hearing about that it's a naked eye comet. It's the brightest comet of 2021. You have to put that in perspective. It is the brightest comet out of all these other comets that you needed large telescopes to see. But Comet Leonard is still a very faint comet in terms of being able to spot it. And I would suggest highly bring out your binoculars, because that's how you'll probably be able to enjoy the comet. And to find it this week, again, perfectly positioned right under Venus. Right there, you can see Venus is next to the comet. This is on the 17th. Look at the 18th, right? The 18th is Saturday and Sunday, right? The 19th. There we go. Do you see that? This is after sunset, about half hour to an hour after your local sunset is where all this is happening. And right now, as of Monday, December 13th, this is where the two are. And what is the distance between these two? Actually, I made a measurement using this software. It's really interesting because the distance between Venus and the comet is about 30 degrees on Monday evening. So tonight. So as I'm recording this. So how far? An easy way to distinguish this distance between these two objects is using hand measurements. So you take your fist. Your fist is approximately equal to 10 degrees in the sky, the width of your fist at arm's length. So like that. And what you would do is that means that there's 3 fists side by side that separate the distance that separate Venus and the comet. So you'd have the 1, 2, and you'd have another one, 3. So 3 side by side, that's about how far away. As you can see, that's what I'm doing. at arm's distance. This is what you want to do to be able to kind of track down that area of the sky that you want to scan with binoculars. So you would find Venus, put it on one side of your view, and then just go stack them like that, three, and you go, well, now I know I have to search the sky in this area. Use the map that I've provided on my channel, Facebook, Instagram, I'll load it up there, and Twitter as well, and YouTube. But the sky map that I'm showing you here is what you will help guide you. So you know that this is about 3 fists side by side at arm's length that separates Venus from the comet today. And if you can look by next day, you can see that's maybe, a little more than 2 fists apart, and that's probably only 1 fist apart. And right underneath, look at that. It'll be a cinch by using your binoculars. And I can tell you, with binoculars, you're going to get a view something akin like that. Okay, like approximately like that in one field of view, almost. You'll be able to put both objects in the same field of view. Now, this is, let me just put a caveat here, guys. This, what you're seeing here, this beautiful illustration of this long tail of the comet, it does not look like this visually to the naked eye by far. It looks like a fuzzy little green glowing cotton ball. That's what you're looking for. This is just an illustration, an artist's illustration of that. So I just want you to be aware that I don't want to mislead you thinking that you're going to expect this beautiful, classical, romantic, big, giant tail. And you've seen pictures with that, people taking that, but those are really advanced amateur astronomers who are using photographic techniques. They've been doing this, practicing this. You have to have the equipment to really get one of those really spectacular shots like what you've been seeing with it. But it's knowing what you're seeing. Remember, this comet has traveled from the Oort cloud, the outer edge of the solar system, for 35,000 years. And so this is pretty much a once-in-a-lifetime event to catch Comet Leonard in our skies. And some people are asking, why is it called Comet Leonard? It's actually discovered by an astronomer called Greg Leonard, who works out of Tucson, Arizona, uses a large telescope to look for asteroids that come close to Earth. And this is his 13th comet that he's actually discovered. And each of them, yes, have the name Comet Leonard, but they also have a numerical, alphanumerical designation attached to it so that they can distinguish between which Comet Leonard they're talking about. And this one is officially known as C/2021 for the year, and A1 as the first comet of the year to be discovered. I think it was like January 3rd or 4th, something like that, the first few days of this year when it was actually discovered. So it's kind of cool that within 12 months, this comet has really brightened from something that was only visible to really giant telescopes in photographs to something that now is just barely visible to the naked eye from dark sites and easily found through binoculars. So that's the story of Comet Leonard, and really I think the story of one of the big stories of the last few months in terms of sky watching for us to be able to see. And this is really spectacular from the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th to see the comet. This is the 17th on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So the comet is really going to be passing by Venus. Great guidepost. I want you guys to go outside and check that out. It's easy to do. I've got sky charts that I'll be putting up, updating as the days go on. So I'm going to be there helping you find this comet as best as I can. I wish I could be there with you physically to actually go outside and see it. But you've got the sky charts. You've got this information that I've given you, and through what to look for, using your hand measurements to find where they are. I'll be updating those on my sky charts too, on my timeline. So you want to follow my page and my posts, because I'll be giving you instructions on where to search for it. It's going to be a hunt. It's not necessarily going to be easy for everyone. Some people have not so great sky conditions, a lot of light pollution. But the comet is there, I promise you. And it's really neat to be able to see something that's a few miles across. Think of it, a dirty snowball that's probably billions of years old, was formed at, when our planet formed, our solar system formed 4.5 billion years ago. And it's traveled from the outer reaches of the solar system beyond Pluto, from the Oort cloud, this giant reservoir of hibernating comets. And it's been pulled in by the gravity of the sun. And just for these precious few days, before the end of 2021, we get to really see this comet in our local skies. So I think it's kind of neat. Think about comets being bearers of not just destruction, right? We've seen Hollywood movies of thinking like, oh my gosh, comets, pounding our planet and destroying life on it. But it's also a theory that it might have helped bring life onto our planet. Comets like Comet Leonard has. The ice that makes up most of this comet could have been the source of all the water on Earth. All this water that we have on Earth could have come from comets in ancient times. Organic compounds we know exist on comets. Maybe ancient comets bombarded our planet, like Comet Leonard may have, similar ones that hold all these organic compounds that have seeded our planet with the building blocks of life. So keep those things in mind as you're watching this amazing thing, shedding all that gas and dust as it's melting, as it's going through the inner solar system. It's really, really amazing. So I hope I've got you excited and jazzed about it. If you like this video, you like what I'm given here, please show your support by subscribing to my channel, whether it's on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, and share it with your family and friends. Let's get more people looking up at the sky because, it's just an awesome hobby and it's free. Why not? We're part of the universe. Let's get familiar with it, right? So with that, I wish all of you, until next week, clear skies. Bye-bye.